Today, I'm going to research something so historically stupid to research that you should shoot me right now. We are going to research above ground lead supplies and the possibility of peak lead globally using a logistic extraction profile to solve how much lead is in the ground, how much is being mined, and then roughly in the middle how much will peak extraction be before production collapses, and then the rate of fire of most machine guns, and I'll just kind of work out when the above ground supply of lead begins to deplete rapidly because of people burying it in the ground with gunfire, so that we can prove that right now is most likely when lead Monger 21, a hypothetical name I'm coining, is going to go completely insane. So we have to redefine what a lead monger is. So they look around and they see sources of potential lead contamination, and they'll see like rashes and bone density loss, and the big one is teeth. But I'm arguing people game the dentistry system, and by 40 you need bone health, because they raised costs too much, and they have magic dental hygiene cards that don't matter medically at all. Alright, so your lead monger comes along in the 21st century and looks at all the stainless steel, and like when I'm gonna go get stuff from my kitchen and know the sink is big enough to, just a moment. This is what peak lead starts to look like. Where's the contamination? I don't know. This is my coffee spoon. I use it all the time. It's safe. And that's peak lead for dummies. So the lead monger comes along, he sees all the lead contamination sources, no actual bone health loss in this much lead, and they go completely mad because their entire historical family worldview, which would be very old money, would be completely broken. So let's do some research. So I'm making like an expanded concept of what lead monger 21 would look like. This is basing the idea that the Hubbard peak for crude oil is a logistic resource extraction profile that states the in-ground lead or oil supplies deplete because the pressure of the reservoir is reduced as the oil is extracted from the ground, regardless of whether or not it's made by volcanism. And that for lead, it's conceptually much different, where the lead in the ground is basically finite. Some might surface from excess volcanism in the future, but the rate at which the Earth would sort of pump out lead from the core and mantle via volcanism is going to be much slower than the rate we've extracted it. So please bear that in mind when I begin to talk about the concept of lead monger 21 in the future, when I'm talking about stainless steel. So universal healthcare in its present state assumes two things, which are becoming less true all the time, but they counteract each other, and you get everything backwards in your head but still running the same. All right, so the first one is mining means progress, which also translates to ever growing above ground lead supplies. This is not true. because lead will eventually sort of deplete. The second thing universal healthcare assumes is the more antibiotics you use, the better. And this is because bacteria never learn, and we're smarter. All right, today, in the real world, because of how much stainless steel has accumulated and how long it remains functional in the economy, jewelry is becoming more antibiotic by weight and mass because it causes social distancing. Plain and simple. And antibiotic overuse is starting to look really bad because it reflects on you poorly when you are eroding the efficacy of something like the viomycin supply. All right. So from there, we then move to the concept of Monger 21. It's a very real possibility of a political leader could use as a medical scam in the future, where they would simply cite how much medical infrastructure is there to deal with lead contamination in the economy, and there to combat it all and all that, and then they would falsify an estimate of how much lead is above ground, and then investigate spreading disease as they went, and they would constantly say that the lead poisoning records are being doctored all the time, and they would just simply investigate the economy to total crippling, where everyone would be afraid to work because they'd be investigated for some kind of heavy metal contamination, etc., etc., etc. And this could lead to big disruptions and massive infrastructure dismantling and nightmares you could not get rid of for decades. I'm also not pulling up the charts and the graphs and the PDFs, and I'm pleading the fifth. I don't want to accidentally design a political campaign in the future for someone to use this, because there's a secret way you could do this where you wouldn't tell people you were investigating, and then there's a very open way you could do this, and the two would be very different. So what you could do is you could take drug efficacy dropping, and then you would graph the slowly accumulating supply of stainless steel in the economy. Like the dollar store has a lot of stainless steel. The secondhand stores are full of very functional pots that you can't really date without really expert. They've been there for years. Your kitchen is full of it, and I'm not on this, so it's visibly all there. So you would graph, say, accumulating stainless steel supplies, and then you would project that, say you have a rate of fire for an average belt-driven machine gun, and you would suppose that it buries lead in the ground at a given rate, and then you would just solve the yearly rate of, say, war by war crimes or something, and then you would presume that this lead is being buried in the ground in a way that's almost unrecoverable, especially bodies of water and all these things. And you would arrive that World War I and World War II probably massively depleted the above ground lead supply in ways that the economy has never really recovered. Because the way the economy was set up in the past was from classical antiquity, which was set up to sort of presume lead contamination was present, and all metals within the economy had to be continuously recycled and re-refined, and that 99.99% gold is really basically lead-free, and that healthcare has been struggling to adapt to this for a very long time, and it has these two assumptions which are going, and I really have to do this research so I can fill in these gaps. Give me a I'm just going to go with smarter for my explanation why I haven't done this research. I really have a legitimate reason. So, oil companies have resource extraction profiles where they deplete their reserves, and they have to publish these as profit margins and all these things. They are afraid of lead mongers, most likely. There's no discussion of their interactions with them, and the gasoline is unleaded. So that doing this research is probably not present on too many places on the internet, and overly terrifying to most genuine academic researchers, even independent ones, which I am one of.